From crisis to capital, how financial strategy and business systems create unstoppable growth. Welcome to the Intelligence Forge. Today, I'm thrilled to have Shaheen Mazloom, founder and CEO of Versa Business Systems, joining us. Shaheen has been featured in Forbes, NBC, ABC, Fox, and is also a best-selling author and podcast host himself. Thank you for coming through, Shaheen.
Thank you for having me, brother.
All right. I just want you to start by, telling us a story about yourself in terms of what you do. Tell us about Versa Business System, who you serve, what drives your passion in helping business to unlock their full potential.
Sure, absolutely, man. My company, Versa Business Systems, we specialize in helping businesses, all sizes, from
Right?
startups to Fortune 500 companies.
Wow.
And, my passion actually came at a really young age. I started my first business when I was 7 years old,
Okay.
but I've been working since I was in diapers. My mom's parents, my grandparents had a farm. And
Okay.
if you know anything about growing up on a farm, you work from the time you can start walking, right?
Yeah.
So, there's pictures of me in diapers laying bricks and, feeding the animals and doing all
Wow.
that stuff, So, I've always worked hard, but I've also seen a lot of change in the farming industry at a young age. My uncle decided to go from just being a farmer to also being a butcher. So watching him
Wow.
expand the family business and adapt, because when I was a kid, we were dealing with things like mad cow disease and hoof and mouth and these things that were out of farmers' control. And so farmers, in order to survive, they had to adapt. They had to get into other industries. They had to do other things. Otherwise, the ones that didn't adapt, they crumbled. They lost everything, right? So seeing that at a very young age, I knew I wanted to be in business. I mean, when they ask you when you're a child, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
And from a very young age, from 5, 6, always it was businessman, businessman. Now,
Wow.
I didn't really know what that meant, right, at the time, but I knew I wanted to be in business. I wanted to help businesses. And so about 8 years ago, I started Versa Business Systems after being in the B2B space for a while. I sold,
Okay.
credit card processing and funding and all different types of things to help businesses. And all of the companies that I worked for, they were just more so focused on the money, and not so much helping the business succeed. And so I decided, I said, you know what, if we focused more on helping the company do better, we're going to grow at the same time, right? If we help a
Yeah.
company grow, the more they grow, the more we're going to grow, because the
Sure.
bigger the loans they can get, the more they're going to process in credit cards, the more they're going to be able to spend in marketing and things like that, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, it's only going to be a win-win situation.
For sure.
So I decided to start Versa 8 years ago and focus solely on helping businesses grow and expand, right? Because if they grow, we're going to grow automatically, right? Like if we help
Yeah.
somebody
Sure.
grow, they're going to want to do business with us one way or
That's
another.
true.
It's going to happen, right? And it's really worked out for us. We have probably the best reputation in the B2B space. We're the only company I know of that's never had a bad review or complaint. We have thousands of clients. They always say you can't please everybody, but I think I figured out that you can, right? Like you really can please everybody if you're doing what's in their best interest and not focusing, primarily on our own interest, right?
That's true.
Being selfish, a lot of times as business owners, we should be selfish in some ways, but when it comes to taking care of the customer, you can't be selfish at all. If you just focus on helping them and providing value, you're going to take care of yourself at the same time,
That's true. That's
right?
true. Well taken. Thank you so much for explaining that in details. I mean, for you to know at that tender age that you want to do business, it's not a joke.
No.
And I wish kids of today could be able to know what they need to do at a very tender age, I
Yeah,
think, and parents also supporting them. It will
100%.
really be very, very good.
Yeah,
But
the
thank you.
crazy thing is, like, as I was growing up in like my high school years, right? I would always say, "Oh, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. I don't know what I want to do when I grow up." But now that I'm in it, right? Now I can think back and say, "Well, I've always wanted to do this, right? So like I look back on, what I wrote in second grade and first grade and, all these things. And it took a lot of different things to get me there, right? Like even though when I was younger, yeah, I wanted to be a businessman. I wanted to do something with business. I didn't really know what that meant, right? I think a lot of the times we focus so much on a job, what I want to do as a job, what I want to do as a job. And I think that was my biggest confusion in those adolescent ages is like you're thinking about what you want to do as a job and not so much what you want to do with your life, right? What do you want to do with your life versus what do
Hmm.
you want to do as a job are two completely different
That's
things.
true.
And when I realized that, okay, well, what do I want to do with my life? Now I can figure out, okay, well, does that job exist? And if not, then I have to create it.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Thank you so much. I saw in your recent post about helping business navigate the government shutdown crisis. That's really fascinating. But what's the most exciting success story or wins you've had in recent time with your business? Something that's so unique that you want to share with us.
Yeah, I mean, I share the one story of how we went haywire during COVID when most people were going out of business. That's a story I tell all the time, but that's a more of a selfish thing, right? That's we crushed it. We crushed it. But what I like to focus on really is how we crushed it for other people. There's one company that always sticks out to mind, and it was actually when I first started the business 8 years ago, and there was a guy who came to us, and he had a landscaping company. It was him and his wife, small landscaping company, and he said, "Look, I need $20,000. I'm old now." He was like in his 70s. He's like, "I can't keep cutting grass and this, that, and the other, but this is how I feed my family, and so I need to hire a crew and get a new truck and hire some people and this, that, and the other." So the guy sends me over his bank statements, and he was only doing like $3,000 or $4,000 a month.
Wow.
Well, if you know anything about business funding, 99.9% of people are going to tell that guy, "Sorry, nothing we can do." Right? They don't want to waste their
Mm.
time with this guy
Yeah.
doing $3,000, $4,000 a month. He's not going to make it. He can't do, he's not doing much business. He's been in business 20 years and he's only doing 3, 4,000 a month. Right? And instead, I decided, you know what? This is one of our first customers. I'm going to
Mm.
figure out a way to help this guy, right? So we ended up finding a lender that was willing to give him $2,500. Right now, the guy wanted 20,000. And he's like, "Well, what am I going to do with 2,500?" I said, "Well, here's what you're going to do. You're going to hire one other guy, and that's going to allow you to double your revenue because now you're going to be able to do twice the amount of jobs, right? So you'll be
Okay.
able to do 2 times the amount of jobs in a day." So his wife booked more jobs. He hired a guy, used that 2,500. Now he's doing double the revenue. So a
Mm.
month later, we go back to the lender and say, "Hey, he's doubled his revenue. Let's go ahead and get him more money so he can get another truck and get
Mm.
two more people." And so that's what he did. He got a $10,000 loan, right? Now he's got two crews. He's still working at this time. This is only 1 month in. This is now week 6. He's got two crews running, two trucks. Now he's doing 20,000 a month, right? This is within 6 weeks. He goes from doing 4,000 a month that he's done for the last 20 years to now in 6 weeks later he's doing 20,000 a month. So 2 months later, we're able to get him enough money to replace him, right? So we hired another person. We got him $25,000 loan. He hired one more person, got one more truck, and then hired two more people and got some more equipment. Right? Not a fancy truck. He's getting like a $2,000 truck. He's getting a used lawnmower. He's getting used, hedge trimmers and all this stuff, right? Used stuff. But
Mm.
what happened within 3 months, we took the guy from doing 4,000 a month with just him and his wife to now inside of 3 months, he's doing 50,000 a month with
What?
three crews
Wow.
inside of 3 months. Now, fast forward years later, now the guy is fully retired. His wife manages the books of the business. They travel all the time. They're doing
Mm.
$170,000, $180,000 a month on average. And they're living this life like they never thought possible. And the
Wow.
main reason why is because I didn't look at him as a number, like, "Oh, this guy is just
Mm.
gonna, we're not gonna make much on this deal." I looked at this guy has a goal. He wants to increase his revenue. He wants to step away from his business. And, I knew one day it would pay off. It took a
Mm.
while for it to pay off. Sure, we might have made $30 on the first deal. You know what I mean? Like we spent
Yeah.
hours and hours and we made 30 bucks. But guess what? Over the last 8 years, we've probably done, I don't know, millions in
Wow.
business with this guy. We've at least made
Wow.
six figures doing business with this guy and changed his life forever. Right? This guy is, we're 8 years in. Now he's probably in his 80s,
Wow.
right? Probably in his 80, maybe 80, 81, 82. And he's living, the dream, right? He's fully retired. He's traveling with his wife. I mean, that's what it's all about for us, man. It's like being able to take those situations where most people would turn it away and being able to really make something of it. Because at the end of the day, like this is a human being. This is somebody that
Yeah.
is looking to do something, whereas most companies they just see it as a number. This guy's only doing 3, 4,000. I'm barely gonna make a penny. No, we can't help you.
Wow.
So yeah, man, that's one of
That's
my favorite stories, honestly.
It's really, really great success story. I think it's music to my ear also. And of course, you are actually touching people's life, which is the
Yeah,
most important thing.
a
I
hundred
mean,
percent.
at the end of the day, the legacy you're going to leave behind, these are the stories people are going to be talking about, the
Exactly,
lives that you touch.
exactly.
Let me just say this. I don't say it often. No matter how successful you are in your business, no matter how rich you are, if you can't point to one person
Yeah,
that your wealth, your riches, your
have
success have
changed their
touched,
life. Yeah,
no, that's not success. Then you've not
exactly,
really succeeded because
exactly.
there must be a life that you have changed and multiple lives.
Yeah,
But you're really doing a good job.
a
Thank you
hundred
so much
percent.
for sharing that. It's
Thank you.
very clear. You're really solving complex, apart from the fact that you're changing people's life, you're solving complex problems.
Yeah,
Because, like you said, you will have looked at that man and said, no, we can't help you. Like you say, everyone else will have just tell him,
yep,
go get some more money, then come back to us. We can,
exactly.
but you actually touching the aspect that a lot of people will look away and say no to.
Yeah.
But there's a question I want to ask you. Now you're dealing with a lot of people. Is there any technology or maybe AI tools that you are using in course of your duty to fulfill for your client that you want to share with us? I
Yeah,
know
so
at the
I'm
beginning you may not have any tools, but now definitely there are a
yeah,
lot of tools.
100%. When I started in 2017, AI was starting to be talked about, but nobody really, anybody that was using AI, it wasn't really AI, it was automation, right? Like
Yeah.
8 years ago, it was mostly automation. Chat GPT coming out really blew things up into moving over to the AI space, right?
Yep.
So right now, honestly, one of the best tools that I use is something to manage my email.
Mm,
So I had a podcast a few months ago with a guy, and he was explaining that, time, it's all about duplicating our efforts, right? How do we
mm,
save more time so we
mm.
can focus more time on other things to
Sure.
expand the business and things like
Mm,
that, right? And
mm.
he said, I encourage you to go through a whole week and write down how much time you spend on each thing.
Wow.
So for literally, it was only for 2 days that I did this, and I wrote down, okay, so the last hour I was on my email, and then last 20 minutes I was on a phone call, and then this, that, and the other, right? And I realized almost 50% of my day was spent on email, almost
Wow.
50%. So I asked ChatGPT, I said, what is a tool that can help me save time from my email? And
Mm.
there was a few different things that popped up, and I did some research, and it's called Fixer, Fyxer. And
Okay.
what it does, it literally organizes all the emails. So think about the amount of spam that everybody gets, right?
Mm, mm,
But you still gotta scan and see, oh, do I need to read this? Do I not need
mhm.
to read this? Right? You need
Yeah.
to kind of still look, right? And that's still time consuming, even
Mm,
though it may only seem like a few seconds. But if you're doing that 30 times a day, it adds up, right? And then it's typing out the responses. And a lot of the times it's to the same people, similar responses. Oh, thank you. I
Okay.
got this. I'm going to do that. Things like that. So what it does is it organizes everything. So you only need to respond to, right? It tells you everything that needs to be responded to. So now you just have to look at this shorter list of emails. Okay, this is what requires a response. And
Mm.
then every single one of those emails looks through the past 90,000 emails and writes up a response according to what you would normally say in this situation. And so
Mm.
at worst case scenario, you have to edit it a little bit.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
at best, you just hit send. You read it, send, done. Next, read it, yup, good, send, done. And it literally, no joke, cut the time that I spend on email by 75%.
Wow.
So it literally got me
75%.
an extra 3 hours per day back into my life that I can focus on other things within my business. 3 hours
Wow.
per day is insane.
It is a lot
That's
of
an extra
time.
day a week.
You know what we tell people? Yeah, you're right. If you're doing anything 3 hours every week, not day, 3 hours every week, automate it. Put an automation on it because that's
Yep.
too much of time to
Yeah.
be wasted. Wow.
100%.
Wow. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. That's a very good tool that you're using out there.
It's amazing.
Hmm. Okay, I'm gonna jump. I'll come back to the magic one question. Just based on what you're saying now, just to tie this down, to similar question. Okay, is there any other thing that you think within your operation that you think if you automate today, it will make life easy? Probably there's no tool. Maybe you've checked and there's no tool, like you check for the email, but you feel like, oh, if I'm able to get something, I think this also needs to go like this to save me time.
It's funny you ask that question. I ask myself that every day. Every single day, I try to figure out, and I know exactly what I need to do. It's just
Mm.
getting to the level to be able to do it, right? So there's certain
Okay.
things I'm working on. I need
Okay.
to duplicate myself, number one. I can do that.
Okay.
I have an AI tool. It's not crazy expensive, maybe 5, 6,000. It will duplicate me, all of my sales books, all of my pitch books, our scripts, our learning, our training videos, everything. It looks like me, talks like me, acts like me, speaks like me, and it has all my information. Now, when we hire affiliates or new employees or whatever, boom, they click on my AI, they ask the questions, and they're interactive with an AI version of myself. That's a no-brainer.
Hmm.
That's a
Hmm.
no-brainer. That cuts the amount of phone calls that I need to have with my sales team by 60%.
Wow.
The only time now I need to speak with my sales team is when we have our daily meetings or our weekly meetings. And then also when they need me to speak to a customer for them. If I need
Hmm.
to speak to a customer for them, then, I'm not going to have the AI do it. I'll do that myself, right? But there's a lot of tools, man. Like I think every business owner needs to really be thinking about every task that they do.
Sure.
I guarantee you there's a way to automate it. And if they're not sure if there is, all they got to do is ask ChatGPT. Hell, you can ask Google now, right?
Hmm.
Just Google it. Hey, can this be automated? And most likely there's a way to do it. Right? It's crazy the amount of tools that are out there. And yeah, we're focusing on really building out automation and AI into most of the things that we do other than the direct to client relations, right? So we never want to
Hmm.
automate the communications between us and our clients. We always want that to be a human connection because that's what makes us different, right? We have
Hmm.
a human connection. We're there to really help them and to learn about them and their business
Hmm.
and their goals and things like that, right? Could an AI do some of that? Sure. But it's just my perspective. I think that should be done on a human level. But what we can automate is everything else, all the busy
Yeah.
work and the appointment scheduling and the following up and the voicemails and the text messages and the emails and things like that, right? And then that way, all my guys need to do, I just need to have a sales team that's just having the conversations with the
Hmm.
clients, doing the paperwork. Everything else can be automated. So now my 10 sales guys can do what it used to take 100 sales guys to do.
Wow. I'm just nodding and I'm just agreeing with everything you're saying because it's music to my ear. That's what we tell people. If you automate anything, two things. The relationship you're building with your client, you cannot automate it.
Correct.
Because that's the reason why you want to free yourself from all those manual tasks. Because you want to have time to bond with your client. They want to talk to you. You want to have a relationship with them. And the second thing is the strategic things that actually move the needle in your business. That you also don't want to automate. Everything else, I think you're completely 100%. And I wish that a lot of business owners like you could think and reason the same way you're doing. I think.
Well, they'll have to. They'll have to. Otherwise, they won't last, right? Like they've got to, realistically, if by 2026, any business that doesn't have automation in their business will not survive. They will not. Their competitors will take over because they're going to be able to do 5, 10, 15 times the amount of outreach and calls and, posts and all these things. They're going to be hidden. Nobody's going to see them because their competitors are just going to cover the market.
You are spot on again. I will tell you a story. I have an IT background, for over 18 years, and I've been doing, and we help an MSP company. They have 4 technicians that goes out, and they could only do 5 tasks in a day. Right. And we told them, okay, all of these admin tasks that these guys are doing, why don't you automate it and then free up time for them to be able to do more? And the man said, are you sure this is possible? Yeah, we're sure it's possible. I mean, let's prove it for you. We end up helping him automate all those admin tasks. Those guys, instead of 5 jobs for them to be, they could do 15 in one day. Now, the problem is the guy wants to fire 2 of them. Then we say, no, don't do that. Use automation also to get more job for yourself.
Exactly.
Because, you're a genius. I mean, it's not a genius part of it. It's just information is
information,
key.
100%.
Just know what is out there, what is possible, and you get it done.
Yeah.
And
most people, their knowledge on AI is just that it's there and that it's a scary and they don't really understand it. And there's so many options. They don't know where to start. That's the problem. The problem with AI is most people are just like, it's too much. I'm not a technical guy. I'm not a technical guy at all. Sure, I can type, I can do basic things on the computer, but I'm not technical whatsoever. That's what all these AI professionals are for. Right? Because at the end of the day, as you probably know, an AI tool is only as good as the person that sets it up and uses it.
Exactly.
Right? So that's super important. You still got to have those pieces. It's not just, I bought this AI tool and now it's going to go to work for me. It's not that simple, right? But there's so many great companies out there that are setting these tools up for really cheap.
Yeah.
That you're able to see an ROI on most of these tools within the first month.
Yeah, sure, for sure. That I can tell you. I mean, we have an assessment that we send to people to say, first of all, look at the ROI. Look at how much time you're saving. Look at how much money is going to save you every month. From the very first month, you're going to see savings. So, yeah, you're completely correct. Anyway, I know the magic wand question is the question everyone answers, but I can tell that you might have answered this question, but I'm still going to ask you anyway. If you have a magic wand today and you want to use that to solve one problem within your business, what would that be and what would the result be?
Man, if I had a magic wand, it would be to duplicate me on a human level.
I said it.
On a human level, if I could duplicate me on a human level, what's it called? The clone. If I could clone myself on a human level, that's what I would do.
Wow. Yeah, I know. I mean, that's fascinating. But actually, it's possible. It's just not going to be like you have somebody like you sitting down somewhere. But I mean, it's all about those
to an extent,
things that you do.
Exactly. And that's why we invest in the tools that we invest in, is because there is ways to duplicate parts of me, right? So the training and the question and answer and the sales training and things like that, we can duplicate, right? It's
Yeah,
really simple to do nowadays. It's
that's true.
fascinating. Every time we add a new AI tool, it's like it blows my mind.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, it's very clear that you're very passionate about financial strategy and business resilience. In your view, what's the biggest misunderstanding or maybe a gap that you've seen when it comes to how small or medium-sized business approach capital, accessing capital, or financial optimization? What are they missing actually?
Yeah, so most of the time, most businesses, what they're doing is they're going to Google and they're searching business funding, right? Now, what
Okay.
most people don't realize is the lenders that are in the top 3 pages of Google are all pretty much the same. So
Mm,
some of them are even owned by the same companies, right? So they all have the same requirements, the same types of loans. They're all the same. So
mm,
when looking for capital, you want to work with a broker, right? But a specific type of broker. So for example, we're a broker, but we don't charge any broker fees, right? So we
okay.
work with over 180 banks, lenders, and investment firms, so we
Mm,
can guarantee the best rate and term possible because we have so many different options. We can
okay.
take a look at their file. If we can't get it done, it doesn't exist, right?
Wow.
So that's number one. Number two is it's super important that you go with a very reputable company, right?
Mm,
Most, and I would say most business funding companies have a bad reputation. The
mm,
reason why they have a bad reputation is because they only offer one type of funding.
mm.
Well, when it comes to funding, funding's not one size fits all, right?
Okay.
So, like the guy that needs money to buy a truck and hire a new employee on a landscaping company, a different type of loan is going to work for him than the guy who is adding more inventory for a jewelry store, right?
Okay.
Because that jewelry is going to sit for a while, right?
Mm,
It's not going to be able to be turned around in a month, right? The guy with great credit versus bad credit, the guy with a long time in business versus short time, all these different things and different business types, they're all different. So it's super important to work with somebody that offers multiple different types of lending solutions, but also don't charge a broker fee if they have to broker the deal to get you the best deal possible. Those are the biggest things people are missing. They want to go direct to the source because that's what we're told is the smartest move, but it's not always the smartest move. Like, for example, we get discounted rates from all of our lenders. So, like, if you were to go to one of our lenders and get a deal,
mm.
your rate would be worse than if we were to go to that same lender and get you a deal
Wow. Hmm.
because we have the highest closing
Wow.
ratio, the highest repeat business ratio in the industry. So these lenders give us discounted rates and they pay us out of their side. So we don't need to charge broker fees. We don't need to increase the fees. We just pass the savings right to our customers. And that's why we have a great reputation because nobody can go and say, oh, well, I could have got a better deal somewhere else, or, I didn't get the best price, or I didn't, they can't say that because we work very hard to make sure we get them the best deal possible.
Wow, knowledge is powerful, they say,
100%.
and the application of this knowledge when you know is the most powerful thing. Because people may, like you say, people will just think, oh, I can go directly. Why do I need a broker? A broker is
Yeah.
going to get my money.
Yep.
At the end of the day, they think they're
Now, that
smart.
is true in some cases, right? Like there's a
Okay.
lot of brokers. Yeah, you shouldn't go with some brokers because you're right. They only offer one type of funding. They only work with maybe a handful of lenders and they're going to charge you, an extra 10% just to submit the file to them.
Hmm. Hmm.
Absolutely. But that's not always the case. It's there's not a one rule fits all companies.
You're right. You're right. Just out of curiosity, who do you actually help? So I will ask you directly: new business owner,
Yeah.
startup,
Yeah.
people who don't have a track record of doing business. Are those people also qualify for you to work with them? And maybe break it down. How does that work?
Yeah. So we have multiple products and services that we offer. So not just funding, but credit card processing, AI consulting, as well as tax credit help, right? So we help people get take advantage of different tax credit programs,
Mm.
employee benefits, different things like that, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to who we can help anybody. It doesn't matter if they're aspiring to be a business owner or they've
Mm.
had 20, 30 businesses, right?
Okay.
Now, as far as getting capital, you need to have one of three things to get a decent rate in term. You need to
Mm.
either have a business that has at least 5,000 a month in revenue, or
Okay.
a decent credit score, so over 620, or collateral like real estate. As long as you have one
Mm.
of those three things, you don't need all three, you just need one of those three things, we
Okay.
can get somebody a great rate and term on some capital, no problem. So if you don't have a business, no problem. As long as you have a decent credit score or you have some collateral, we can get it done. If you don't have a good
Wow.
credit score and you don't have a business, as long as you have some collateral, we can get it done.
Wow.
Right?
As long as you have one of those three.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So either a business, a decent credit score, or some collateral. There's ways to get it done.
Wow. That is interesting. And I know all our audience definitely will benefit from this information. I mean, definitely they will benefit from it. All right. You mentioned in your profile that you serve businesses nationwide, remote consultant. I'm just curious, when it comes to attracting and converting the right client to your services, I know you say you're dealing with a lot of people.
Yep.
What is the biggest challenge that you face in getting new clients?
Yeah, so I mean, it's not really a challenge, honestly. It was in the beginning, obviously. In the beginning, we focused primarily on direct mail, right? So
Okay.
direct mail was great for a long time.
Mm.
And we didn't really struggle. If we sent out the mail, the calls come in, we convert the deals, right? What happened was when things started to kind of slow down with direct mail, like towards the middle of 2019, less people started responding to mail.
Mm.
And so now we're like, okay, well, we got to figure something else out. How are we going to get more customers in the door? So we started focusing heavily on social media, doing more content and videos and and ads on social media. And so that made up the difference. And then social media started going down and wasn't as didn't work as good. And they started putting all these different regulations for funding. And so then, okay, we got to figure something else out. So it's just constantly being able to adapt, right? But one thing that I've found to always be true and to always work no matter what is email marketing. Email marketing,
Mm.
I don't think it's ever going to go away. It's always worked and it works great. You just got to have the right systems in place to be able to send a lot of emails and make sure it ends up in the inbox and get the right data that is real and is accurate. It's really just getting in front of customers, just like you do on whether it's on social media or email or mail. It's just getting in front of as many people as you can. And people are bound to need your help. But one new thing that we're focusing on now is TV. TV
Mm.
commercials are
Okay.
dirt cheap
Yeah.
now. It is
Mm.
so
Yeah.
cheap to run targeted commercials on Peacock and these different streaming websites, right?
Yeah.
And you can run commercials just to your clientele, and it's cheaper than targeting on social media
Mm.
for a
Yeah.
commercial. Now all your customers in your area can see you on TV. That adds more credibility than a Facebook ad or a Facebook post, right? They're
Mm.
seeing you on TV in their home. Now when you send them an email, they're like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that company on TV."
That's true. That's
And
true.
you can literally do commercials for $50 a day now. It's nothing.
That's true.
It's nothing.
That's
You
true.
can create
Technology.
a commercial that they can put on TV with your iPhone.
Yeah.
It's
Ah.
crazy. You don't need to hire a crew or spend 10, 20, $30,000 for a commercial team to come and shoot it. You can shoot it right from your cell phone. Be
That's true.
authentic, be true, put it up, $50 a day, pick your clientele, and it'll be in their living room by tomorrow. It's crazy.
Exactly. Yeah,
It's
it
crazy.
is. The power of technology.
But it's the power of knowledge too, right?
True.
Technology and
True.
knowledge. I didn't even know that this was possible 4 months ago. I always
Really?
thought it was so expensive to market on TV. Oh, it's going to be
Wow.
so expensive. And then I started noticing companies that we do business with that I know how much they make. And I'm like,
How
wait
did
a
they
second.
afford it?
How can they afford this? And so I just call them up. Hey, bro, how you doing TV commercials? Like, what's going on? And just finding out. And so, I found a couple different companies that do it really cheap. It's just as easy as posting on Facebook now. It's crazy.
Wow, that's
Crazy.
fascinating. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for sharing
Yeah.
that. Let's
Definitely.
look ahead in the next 12 months. Where do you envision Versa Business System in terms of maybe revenue growth, maybe in terms of client base, maybe in terms of what you're doing? I know you're doing a lot currently, but where do you see yourself?
Yeah, so in the next 12 months, we want to be solely focused on affiliate and referral partners. So
Okay.
rather than marketing for clients, we want to
Mm,
have a select group of partners that refer their clients over to us to help
mm,
them even further. So, whether it's a payroll company that wants to
mm.
add more value to their clients, we can help them with everything else. Or an accounting firm that doesn't know about funding and credit card processing and tax credits. They should, but most of them don't. We can add more value to their client base. So in the next 12 months, that's what we hope to focus on, is more on the affiliate referral side of things, really to be able to just help more people, right?
Yeah.
We can help a lot of people marketing the way that we are, but if we have 100 companies that are marketing our services, we're going to
Mm.
be able to help a lot more people.
That's true. That's true. All right. As we wrap up, let's look at what advice will you have for business people that will be watching, listening at one stage or the other? Probably they're facing similar challenge in terms of maybe scaling, using AI, credits, whatever, everything we've spoken about. Maybe you just want to put those together, but what advice will you be offering if you have to?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about being able to adapt and knowing that there's always a way, right? So
Mm,
no matter, you've got to get real with yourself and what you want, right? You got to
mm.
get real with yourself on what you really, really want, and then figure out a way to get there. Because
Yeah,
there's always a way. When you
that's
really
true.
sit down, you just got to have the knowledge, right? Sometimes that's what's got to come first, right? You figure out what you want, and
Mm,
if you can't figure out how to get it, now you got to figure out how to get the knowledge to figure out how to go get it. Because I
mm.
promise you, every single time there is a solution, right? Whether it's capital, you can go get, if maybe you don't have credit, you don't have a business, you don't have collateral, you have nothing. Guess what? Now you need to figure out how to market yourself to investors,
Mm.
right? There's always a way, no matter what your goal is or what you need to do to expand your company, you always have to be able to adapt, and you always have to be willing to do whatever it takes and figure out the solution to your problem, because there's always going to be a solution.
Always there is a solution. And I agree with you. There's always, they say, when there is a will, there's
Yep,
always a way.
always a way.
Wow. Thank you so much. All right. For anyone listening, you know, viewing, if they want to get in touch with you to say, well, everything you've said today, they actually agree. They just want to connect with you. They want to do business with you. They need something. How could they be able to find you?
So, I mean, if they Google Versa Business Systems, we're all over the place, but our website, versabusinesssystems.com. Our funding page is go.versabusinesssystems.com. We're all over social media. If you want to find me personally, Shaheen Mazloom, I'm the only one in the world that I know of.
I love that.
That's one nice thing about having a different name. There's not two of us.
Oh, wow, that's cool. I think you will be the second one that would tell me on this podcast that their name is unique. I spoke with a guy too, and he told me that the reason why his name is unique is that the parent could not find any name. And then the father and the mother used the two acronym of their first name and they
Oh,
joined it
really?
together to produce his
So they
name.
produced a name.
I mean, it's just like, how dare we you see anyone using the same name, because it was
Yeah,
like created in one way or the other. And he
yeah,
was really proud, just like you also,
yeah. That's
But
great.
thank you so much. Your insight is so valuable. I
Thank
will
you.
tell you personally, I've learned a lot. And I think there's a lot we could catch up offline. And I
Definitely.
see there's a lot in everything you've said. And I think more importantly is people just need to go out there to get information.
100%.
You may think that this situation, I don't have any solution, I don't know, but you've not really searched enough. That's why you've
Right.
not. seen the solution. The solution is out there.
It's
And
there. You just got
definitely,
to
yeah.
find it. You just got
Yeah,
to
it's just
learn
gonna
about it. Right.
exactly. But thank you so much for coming through. Wish you all the best in your
Thank you for
future
having me,
endeavor.
brother.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.